The stars looked different from the observation deck of the International Space Station Alpha. Alan Carter stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his gray suit neat and pressed for the most important meeting in human history. Next to him, Susan Miller adjusted her uniform collar nervously. "They're coming," she whispered. The ship appeared suddenly. There one moment where empty space had been before. It gleamed like polished silver, with no visible engines or windows. It was beautiful in a way that made human spacecraft look like children's toys. "Remember the protocol," Alan said to the small team behind him. "No sudden movements. No weapons. We are representatives of Earth now." The alien ship docked with surprising gentleness. For 30 seconds, nothing happened. Then a seam appeared in its smooth hull, widening into a doorway. The first alien to step through was tall and slender with blue-gray skin that seemed to shimmer. Its 4 eyes blinked independently as it surveyed the humans. "I am High Counselor Zixvan of the Medusan species," it said in perfect English. "On behalf of the Galactic Confederation, we greet Earth." Alan stepped forward. "I am Alan Carter, Senior Diplomat of the United Earth Government. We welcome you in peace and friendship." 4 more aliens followed Zixvan, each from different species. One floated rather than walked. Another seemed to be made of crystalline segments. The third moved like flowing water. The fourth was almost human-looking except for its golden skin and extra fingers. "The Confederation consists of 28 spacefaring species," Zixvan explained as they moved to the conference room. "We have observed your world for some time. Your recent developments in faster-than-light theory suggested it was time for formal contact." The meeting lasted 6 hours. The aliens explained their coalition, their technologies, their laws. They offered Earth provisional membership, with full status pending a 5-year evaluation period. "We must observe how you integrate with galactic society," said the crystalline alien named Krethnar. "All new species undergo this process." Susan Miller, who had been quiet until now, asked, "Are there threats in the galaxy we should know about?" The aliens exchanged looks that Alan couldn't interpret. "The Confederation maintains peace across 80% of the galaxy," Zixvan said carefully. "There are disagreements at the borders. The Krell Empire has expansionist views. The Voth Collective disputes territory. These are managed through Confederation protocols." "Military conflicts?" Susan pressed. "Limited engagements," the golden-skinned alien answered. "Nothing your species need concern itself with during provisional status." Later, as the aliens toured the station, Alan pulled Susan aside. "You noticed it too?" she asked before he could speak. Alan nodded. "The way they dismiss our military capabilities. Did you see how they changed the subject when you mentioned our defense systems?" "They think we're harmless," Susan said. "I've been watching their reactions. When they showed footage of their border skirmishes, they seemed to think we'd be horrified." "We need to learn more," Alan said. "Start documenting everything they show us about their combat tactics and weapons. Something doesn't add up." The next day, the aliens presented the Galactic Law, thousands of regulations governing interstellar relations. Alan noticed an entire section on acceptable combat protocols that seemed oddly specific. When Earth's leadership signed the preliminary membership agreement, celebrations broke out worldwide. Humanity had joined the stars. Only a few, like Alan and Susan, noticed the strange assessment in the Confederation's official report. Humans display unusual psychological traits that bear monitoring. Their history suggests potential compatibility issues with Confederation defense doctrine. As the alien delegation prepared to leave, Zixvan approached Alan privately. "Your species has a unique development path," the alien said. "Most achieve space travel before perfecting planetary weapons. You did the opposite." "We learned from our mistakes," Alan replied. "Perhaps," said Zixvan. "The Confederation has existed for 12,000 years through careful management of conflict. We look forward to teaching humans our ways." Alan smiled diplomatically. and we look forward to learning. But as he watched the alien ship depart, he couldn't shake the feeling that the Confederation had no idea what humans were truly capable of. For better or worse, they would learn. 3 years passed quietly. Earth enjoyed the benefits of Confederation technology. New medicines cured old diseases. Clean energy replaced fossil fuels. The first human ships with alien-inspired drives explored the solar system. The Europa Research Station floated on the thin ice covering Jupiter's moon. 37 scientists lived there, studying the ocean beneath. Dr. Paul Harris was checking sensor readings when the alarm sounded. Unidentified vessels approaching, the computer announced. Not matching Confederation registry. Paul rushed to the window. 3 ships, dark and angular, descended toward the station. They looked nothing like the smooth Confederation designs. "Alert Earth Command," he ordered. "Unknown contact at Europa." The first blast hit before the message sent. The station shook. Ice cracked beneath the foundations. On Earth, in the United Nations building, now renamed the Earth Confederation Council, emergency lights flashed. Frank Robinson, Director of Defense, burst into the diplomatic meeting. "We're under attack," he said. "Europa Station. Ships identified as Krell Imperial Fleet." Alan Carter, now Earth's ambassador to the Confederation, turned to High Advisor Xinlai, the Confederation representative. "We need immediate assistance." The alien's face remained calm. "I will consult the Council. There are protocols for such situations." "There's no time for protocols," Frank said. "Our people are dying. Unauthorized military response violates your membership agreement," Xinlai reminded them. "The Council will authorize a measured response." As they argued, Lisa Wong, a junior diplomat, received the incoming feed from Europa. The attackers had boarded the station. The scientists were being taken prisoner. "They're abducting our people," she interrupted. The Confederation representative blinked slowly. "Interesting. The Krell rarely take captives. This will be important data for the Council's response." Frank slammed his hand on the table. "These are people, not data points." "I understand your emotional reaction," Xinlai said. "However, the Confederation has managed galactic peace for millennia through careful, measured responses." "How long will this measured response take?" Alan asked. "The full Council must convene. Evidence must be reviewed. Options considered. Perhaps 3 of your months." The room fell silent. The feed from Europa showed the last images before the cameras went dark. Alien creatures in black armor forced humans into their ships. 3 months is unacceptable," Frank finally said. "It is the process," Xinlai replied. "We have found that immediate military responses often escalate situations. Patience leads to better outcomes." After the meeting, Alan, Frank, and Lisa gathered in a secure room. "The Confederation won't help in time," Alan said. "Something's wrong here. They're studying us, our reactions." Lisa nodded. "I've been analyzing Confederation records. In every case where they intervened in a species conflict, they waited months before acting. It's like they want to see what happens." "What do we know about these Krell?" Frank asked. "Not much," Alan replied. "They're not Confederation members. They control a dozen systems near the outer border. They're known for aggressive expansion. And they think humans are weak." Lisa added, "The whole galaxy does. They've been watching our careful diplomacy for 3 years and decided we're no threat." Frank looked grim. "We need to show them they're wrong." "The Confederation won't allow it," Alan warned. "Military action without approval could end our membership." "What's more important?" Frank asked. "Our status in their club or our people?" They argued for hours. Finally, Earth's president made the decision. They would follow Confederation protocols officially while secretly preparing other options. That night, Lisa discovered something in the Confederation database. She rushed to Alan's office. "Look at this," she said, pointing to her tablet. "The Krell have a prison outpost near Saturn's orbit. That's where they'll take our people. Ellen studied the information. How did you find this? The Confederation knows more than they're sharing, Lisa said. They've been tracking Krell movements for years. Then they knew this attack was possible, Ellen said quietly. I think they wanted to see what would happen, Lisa whispered. To see how humans respond to real threat. Ellen's face hardened. Then let's show them exactly what humans do when our people are threatened. Commander Peter Kelly stood in the shadowy briefing room beneath the Rocky Mountains. 6 men and women in black uniforms sat before him. On the screen behind him was an image of a small rocky moon orbiting Saturn. This is where they're keeping our people, he said. The Krell have a temporary base here. According to our intelligence, all 37 scientists from Europa are being held for questioning. Why take prisoners? Asked Maria Johnson, his second in command. Why not just destroy the station? The Krell want our research data, Peter explained. Europa's oceans contain organisms similar to something they value. They think our scientists know more than they're saying. The Confederation still hasn't acted, asked Ben Howard, the team's tech specialist. They're still gathering information, Peter said, his voice bitter. Meanwhile, Earth's official position is that we're waiting for Confederation approval before responding. But we're not, Maria said with a slight smile. No, we're not, Peter agreed. Operation Silent Retrieval begins tonight. Our mission is simple, get our people back without starting a war. He pressed a button, and the screen showed a sleek black ship unlike any Earth vessel publicly known. This is the Nightshade. No Confederation registry, no official connection to Earth, built with a combination of our tech and what we've learned from studying alien designs. The team leaned forward, impressed. The ship had none of the bulk of normal human vessels or the smooth elegance of Confederation craft. It looked dangerous, like a predator. How did we build this without the aliens knowing? Ben asked. Very carefully, Peter said, and with help from people in our government who believe we shouldn't rely on aliens for our defense. For the next hour, they studied the Krell base. The aliens had predictable patrol patterns. Their security systems were designed to stop frontal assaults, not infiltration. No one ever infiltrated Krell bases. It simply wasn't done in galactic warfare. They fight like they're playing chess, Maria noted. All formal moves and countermoves. That's our advantage, Peter said. We're not playing by their rules. 2 days later, the Nightshade drifted silently toward the dark side of the moon. No engines running, no heat signature, just momentum and minimal thrusters for course correction. Inside, Peter's team prepared. Their gear was a mix of Earth Special Forces equipment and adapted alien tech. Their plan relied on speed, surprise, and human ingenuity. Confederation intelligence just detected us. Ben reported from his consul. They've sent a message to Earth demanding explanation. By the time they figure it out, we'll be done, Peter said calmly. Sensors show 39 life forms in the main structure. 37 human, 2 Krell guards. The Nightshade touched down 3 miles from the base. The team moved across the airless surface in suits designed to avoid detection. No radio communication, just hand signals and pre-planned movements. At the base perimeter, Ben deployed devices that looped the security feeds. The Krell would see nothing unusual while the team entered through a maintenance airlock. Inside, they'd move like ghosts. The first Krell guard never saw Maria before she placed a neural disruptor against its neck. The second turned just in time to see Peter's fist, enhanced by a gravity gauntlet. They found the humans in a large holding cell. Dr. Paul Harris looked up in shock as the door opened. United States Special Forces, Peter said, his voice muffled by his helmet. We're bringing you home. The Confederation approved the rescue, Paul asked as they hurried down the corridor. Not exactly, Peter replied. They were halfway to the extraction point when alarms finally sounded. Krell security forces rushed to intercept them, but found only empty corridors. Peter's team had studied the base layout, and used routes the Krell considered too small for tactical movement. The team reached the Nightshade with all 37 scientists, just as Krell ships rose from the main base. "They'll follow us back to Earth," Paul warned as they strapped in. "No, they won't," Peter said. The Nightshade rose smoothly, then seemed to vanish from all sensors as it engaged its experimental drive. Unknown to the humans, a Confederation observation probe recorded the entire operation. The footage would soon spread across galactic networks, causing shock and concern throughout the 28-member species. For the first time in 12,000 years of Confederation history, someone had broken all the rules of civilized combat, and succeeded brilliantly. The Galactic Confederation Council Chamber was a vast, circular room with rising tiers of seats. Representatives from 28 species filled the seats, their voices a mix of concerned murmurs and angry clicks, hisses, and electronic tones. At the center of the chamber stood Ambassador Nancy Wells and Susan Miller, now Earth's chief military liaison. They faced the stern faces of the High Council. "You have violated one of our most sacred principles," High Counselor Sixfan said, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "Military action without council approval is forbidden." On the huge screens around the chamber, footage of Operation Silent Retrieval played. The council members watched as humans moved with startling speed and precision through the Krell base. Many shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "We acted to save our people," Nancy replied calmly. "The Krell attacked us without provocation. They kidnapped our scientists. We asked for your help, and you told us to wait 3 months." "The proper procedures exist for good reasons," said Kulvrath, the Arcturian military representative. "Your actions, while effective, risk destabilizing the entire border region." "The Krell started this, not us," Susan pointed out. "Yes, and the Krell have been formally censured," Zixfon said. "But this is not about them. It is about you." He gestured, and the screens changed to show new images. Susan froze as she recognized what they were showing. Scenes from human history, ancient battles, world wars, modern conflicts. "We have been studying your historical records," Zixfon continued. "In 12,000 years of Confederation history, we have never seen a species with your capacity for warfare." A Medusan analyst stepped forward, touching controls on a floating panel. "The average Confederation species has experienced 4 to 6 planet-wide conflicts before achieving space travel. Humans have engaged in more than 15,000 significant armed conflicts." The chamber filled with shocked sounds. "Many of those were small and regional," Nancy objected. "Even so," the analyst continued, "your weapons development curve is unlike anything in our records. Most species invent the plow, then the steam engine, then gradual improvements in technology. Humans went from first flight to nuclear weapons in 40 years, from basic computing to artificial intelligence in less than a century." Susan glanced at Nancy, unsure how to respond. They hadn't expected this line of attack. "Your rescue operation used tactics no Confederation military would consider," Kulvrath added. "Infiltration, deception, improvisation. You treated established combat protocols as if they didn't exist." "We adapted to the situation," Susan said, her voice steady. "That's what humans do." "That is what concerns us," Zixfon said quietly. "Several council members have proposed revoking Earth's provisional membership. You have demonstrated that you are not ready to join galactic society." A hush fell over the chamber. Nancy stepped forward. "With respect, Counselor, you're making this serious mistake. Yes, humans have a troubled history with warfare. That's precisely why we value peace so highly. We've learned from our mistakes." "An interesting perspective," said an ancient Taurian counselor from the highest tier, speaking for the first time. His voice wheezed through translator systems. "Yet I wonder if the Council realizes what it may be awakening. I have studied human conflicts. You fought your greatest wars not for resources or territory, but for ideals. Freedom, justice, the right of self-determination." He leaned forward, his ancient eyes focusing on Six Spawn. If we revoke their membership, if we leave them isolated, what ideal will they fight for next? Murmurs spread through the chamber. Zixvan's skin color shifted slightly, a sign of deep thought among his species. Perhaps there is a compromise, Nancy suggested. Earth will submit to a formal evaluation of our combat capabilities. Full transparency. But in return, we ask for proper protection under Confederation law. No more Krell attacks while you deliberate. After hours of debate, the Council agreed. Earth would retain its status, but a multi-species observation team would visit to evaluate human military abilities. As they left the chamber, Susan whispered to Nancy, "What happens when they see what we're really capable of?" Nancy's expression was grim. "That's what worries me. I don't think they have any idea." The Confederation evaluation team arrived on Earth 3 weeks later. Their ships landed at the newly built diplomatic spaceport in Nevada, where vast stretches of desert provided privacy. General William Boyd watched them descend from their vessels. 5 aliens representing the major military powers of the Confederation. They moved with the precise, formal steps of beings who lived by strict protocols. "Remember the plan," Alan Carter said quietly beside him. "Show enough to earn their respect, not enough to trigger their fear." William nodded. Earth's leadership had debated for days about how much to reveal. Some wanted to downplay human capabilities. Others argued for full disclosure. In the end, they chose a middle path. "Welcome to Earth," William said as the aliens approached. "I'm General Boyd, your guide for this evaluation." The lead alien, Kolvrath of the Arcturian Defense Force, inclined his crystalline head. "We are prepared to begin immediately." "Of course," William replied. "We've arranged a series of demonstrations at different facilities." For 3 days, William led the aliens through carefully staged exercises. They observed conventional forces first. Tanks maneuvering across training grounds, aircraft performing precision strikes, naval vessels in combat simulations. The aliens recorded everything, occasionally exchanging glances William couldn't interpret. "Your weapons are less advanced than Confederation standard," Kolvrath noted during a tank demonstration. "Yet your targeting systems are surprisingly precise." "We focus on accuracy over raw power," William explained. On the 4th day, they moved to Special Forces training. Here, the aliens grew noticeably more attentive as they watched soldiers adapt to rapidly changing scenarios. "You change tactics mid-exercise," said a lizard-like observer from the Soren Collective. "The scenario shifts, and your soldiers immediately adjust without receiving new orders. Initiative is valued in our forces," William said. "Each soldier is trained to think independently when necessary." The alien made a hissing sound. "Fascinating. In Confederation doctrine, combat units follow precise patterns established over centuries of optimization." That afternoon, during an urban combat demonstration, something unexpected happened. As human soldiers cleared a mock building, adapting to surprise challenges planted by trainers, Kolvrath stepped forward. "This is not representative of real combat," he said. "I request an unplanned demonstration." William hesitated. This wasn't in the script. "What do you propose?" he asked cautiously. "We have brought combat drones programmed with Confederation tactical algorithms. Let your soldiers face them in this urban setting." Alan Carter, watching from the observation area, tensed. "This could be dangerous," he said to Susan Miller. "Those drones might be more advanced than anything we've seen. Or it could be exactly what we need," Susan replied. "A chance to show what humans can really do." William considered for only a moment before nodding. "We accept your challenge." The drones were released into the training complex. They moved with fluid precision, their sensors scanning for targets. William selected a squad of 12 soldiers, giving them minimal instructions. Neutralize the drones. Use whatever means necessary. What followed stunned the alien observers. Instead of engaging the drones directly, the human soldiers split into smaller teams. They used the building's structure in ways the drone's programming hadn't anticipated. They created distractions, set traps, and communicated with hand signals the drones couldn't interpret. Within 20 minutes, all 8 Confederation drones had been disabled. "Impossible," whispered the Sorin observer. "Those combat algorithms were developed over 2,000 years of warfare. Your soldiers disabled the drones rather than destroying them," Kulvrath noted, his voice strangely flat. "Why?" "So we could study them later," William replied honestly. Kulvrath stared at him for a long moment, then turned to his fellow observers. They exchanged a series of rapid communications in their own languages. "This evaluation is concluded," Kulvrath announced abruptly. "We've only completed half the planned demonstrations," William objected. "We have seen enough," Kulvrath said. "We will return to the Confederation Council immediately." As the aliens departed for their ships, Alan approached William. "What just happened?" William asked. "I think they just saw something that scared them," Alan replied quietly. Back at Earth Command, Intelligence Officer Jason Garcia rushed into the monitoring room with urgent news. "Sir, we're detecting increased Krell fleet movements near our space," he reported. "A lot of ships heading our way." The emergency meeting room beneath the Pentagon was filled with tense faces. Satellite images displayed on the main screen showed dozens of Krell warships moving toward Earth's solar system. "They're sending everything they have," Jason Garcia explained, pointing to the largest vessels. "These dreadnoughts carry enough firepower to glass a continent." The Confederation Council is still deliberating, Ambassador Nancy Wells reported via video link from the Galactic Diplomatic Station. They acknowledge the Krell fleet movements but insist on following proper protocols before authorizing intervention. "How long until the Krell arrive?" President Laura Mitchell asked. 5 days at their current speed," Admiral Olivia Martinez answered. She stood before a tactical display showing Earth's defensive positions. "We're outnumbered and outgunned by conventional metrics. Their ships have shields and weapons we can't match." "What about unconventional metrics?" Frank Robinson asked. Olivia smiled slightly. "That's where we might have a chance. The Krell, like all Confederation species, fight by the book. They've been watching our official capabilities, not what we can actually do." She touched the display, and it showed the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. "I've been developing a strategy. We lure them here, into terrain that favors us." The room filled with questions and concerns. For the next hour, they debated options. Finally, President Mitchell raised her hand for silence. "The Krell attacked us first. They took our people. Now they're coming in force," she said. "I won't surrender Earth because some alien council wants to talk for 3 months. Admiral Martinez has my authorization to implement her defense plan." As the meeting ended, Confederation military attaches requested entry. They had been observing Earth's preparations with growing concern. "We have a message from the Council," the lead attaché said, his translucent skin pulsing with light patterns. "The Krell have issued an ultimatum. They demand Earth's complete surrender. Any military response will be met with planetary bombardment." "And what is the Council's response to this threat?" President Mitchell asked. "They are still discussing the appropriate measure," the attaché replied. "However, I am authorized to inform you that unauthorized military action at this time would likely result in your membership petition being permanently denied." After the aliens left, Frank Robinson's face was dark with anger. "They're hanging us out to dry." "No," Olivia said. "They're testing us. Everything since first contact has been an evaluation. They want to see how we handle this." "We request emergency membership," Nancy suggested from the video screen. "Full Confederation status would give us access to defensive technologies that could help." "And if they delay that vote too?" President Mitchell asked. "Then we fight with what we have," Olivia replied. She looked around the room at her fellow officers. "The Krell don't know what humans are capable of when our backs are against the wall." For the next 4 days, Earth prepared. Civilian ships were repurposed. Mining vessels from the asteroid belt were called in. Every rocket, satellite, and piece of space debris became part of Olivia's plan. The Confederation observers watched it all, recording everything for their distant council. On the fifth day, the Krell fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system. Their ships moved in perfect formation, following standard invasion protocols developed over centuries of Confederation warfare. Their commander, Supreme War Leader Drakthar, sent a final message. Primitive humans, your defeat is inevitable. Surrender now, and your species will be preserved as a client race. Resist, and you will be reduced to a footnote in galactic history. President Mitchell stood in the command center, surrounded by Earth's military leadership. She looked at each face, then at the incoming enemy fleet on the screens. Admiral Martinez, she said calmly, you may respond to the Krell. Olivia stepped forward. Her reply was brief. The Earth does not surrender. Throughout the solar system, human forces moved into position. Military vessels, civilian ships converted for combat roles, and thousands of small fighters prepared for what would be called the Battle of the Asteroid Belt. No one in the galaxy expected humans to win, except, perhaps, the humans themselves. The Krell warships entered the asteroid belt in perfect formation. Their energy shields glowed softly as small rocks bounced harmlessly away. Larger asteroids were destroyed by precise weapon fire. It was textbook Confederation combat doctrine. On the command ship, Supreme War Leader Drakthar watched the human fleet retreat deeper into the belt. His mandibles clicked in satisfaction. They run, as expected, he told his officers. Pursue and destroy their main vessels first. Their morale will collapse without leadership. The Krell fleet followed, maintaining their tight formation as they navigated the increasingly dense field of asteroids. Their sensors showed human ships hiding behind larger rocks, occasionally firing weak weapons before darting away. On the Earth flagship Defender, Admiral Olivia Martinez watched the tactical display. Her plan was working. They're following us exactly where we want them, she said to her bridge crew. Begin Phase 2. Throughout the asteroid belt, hundreds of mining ships suddenly powered up engines. They weren't retreating. They had been waiting, hidden among the rocks. These civilian vessels, hastily retrofitted with military equipment, began pushing selected asteroids out of orbit. The Krell noticed too late. Several large asteroids, accelerated by mining ships, crashed into the rear of their formation. The impacts weren't enough to destroy their vessels, but the unexpected attacks disrupted their perfect pattern. Impossible. Drakthar snarled as reports flooded in. Mining equipment should not be used as weapons. It violates Confederation combat protocols. Sir, we're detecting strange energy readings from several asteroids, an officer reported. Before Drakthar could respond, dozens of giant solar mirrors, constructed in secret by Earth over the past 3 years, emerged from hiding places within hollowed-out asteroids. These massive reflectors, originally designed for providing sunlight to space colonies, now focused intense beams of solar energy directly at Krell sensor arrays. The effect was immediate. Temporarily blinded, the Krell ships began firing in all directions, sometimes hitting their own vessels. Olivia watched with grim satisfaction. Phase 3, she ordered. Small fighter craft, hundreds of them, swarmed from hidden bases in the larger asteroids. They targeted specific weaknesses in Krell ship design that Susan Miller had identified during her years studying alien technology. Enemy vessels surrounding us from all directions, the Krell tactical officer reported, his voice rising in confusion. They're not following any known attack pattern. On Earth, in the Combined Military Command Center, President Mitchell and her advisors watched live feeds from the battle. Confederation observers stood silently nearby, recording everything. They're adapting to our attacks, Jason Garcia noted, pointing to the tactical display. The Krell were regrouping, their superior technology beginning to compensate for the surprise. Now we show them what humans do best. Olivia's voice came through the communication system. Improvise. Throughout the asteroid belt, Human forces implemented tactics never before seen in galactic warfare. Mining explosives detonated inside asteroids, creating debris fields that clogged Krell engine intakes. Civilian communication satellites were reprogrammed to broadcast frequencies that interfered with Krell coordination. When the Krell adjusted to these tactics, humans simply changed approaches. No fixed doctrine, no predictable patterns. Every ship captain made independent decisions based on the changing situation. For the first time in their military history, the Krell faced an enemy they couldn't predict. After 72 hours of continuous battle, with both sides taking heavy losses, the unthinkable happened. A message came from the Krell command ship. "This is Supreme War Leader Drakthar. We request cessation of hostilities and negotiations." In the Earth Command Center, cheers erupted. But Susan Miller noticed the Confederation observers exchanging troubled looks. "They're not surprised we survived," she whispered to Frank Robinson. "They're disturbed by how we fought." "You mean winning against impossible odds?" Frank asked. "No," Susan replied. "Breaking every rule of warfare they've followed for thousands of years, and succeeding." On the main screen, the remaining Krell ships had stopped firing. The battle was over. Humanity had defended itself against a technologically superior enemy using ingenuity, adaptability, and willingness to discard conventional thinking. In the Confederation Council chamber, the footage of the battle played in complete silence. 28 species watched as humans rewrote the rules of galactic warfare in just 3 days. The Great Dome of the Galactic Confederation Council chamber had never been so full. Representatives from all 28 member species crowded the tiered seats. Additional observers stood along the walls. For 7 days, they had been in emergency session. In the center of the chamber stood Ambassador Nancy Wells, Admiral Olivia Martins, and Susan Miller. Across from them, a delegation of Krell, including Supreme War Leader Drakthar, waited silently. High Counselor Zix Von rose from his seat. "We have reviewed all evidence regarding the Earth-Krell conflict. We have heard testimony from both sides. We have analyzed combat footage. The time has come for judgment." The chamber fell silent. The Krell Empire violated Confederation borders and attacked Earth territory without provocation, Zix Von stated. For this, they face sanctions and reparations. Drakthar lowered his head in acceptance. The Krell had lost face and ships. They could not fight the entire Confederation. However, Zix Von continued, "This ruling is secondary to a more significant matter." He turned toward the human delegation. "The manner in which Earth defended itself has raised profound concerns among all Confederation species." Screens around the chamber displayed moments from the battle. Mining ships moving asteroids, solar mirrors blinding Krell sensors, civilian equipment repurposed as weapons, and the constant adaptation of tactics. "In 12,000 years of Confederation history," Zix Von said, "we have never witnessed combat methods like these. Warfare, by its nature, requires rules, predictability, structure. All spacefaring species understand this. We defended ourselves with the tools at hand," Nancy replied. "The Krell would have destroyed our world." An older alien, a member of the Voth Collective, stepped forward. "You misunderstand, Ambassador. We are not saying your defense was wrong. We are saying it was too effective." Susan noticed how the chamber had divided. Some species looked at humans with open fear, others with grudging respect, a few with what seemed like admiration. "The Council has analyzed your species' approach to conflict," Zix Von continued. "Your adaptability, your unconventional thinking, your willingness to discard established protocols, combined with your species' unusual historical focus on warfare." He paused. "You are disproportionately dangerous." "We only want peace," Nancy insisted. "Yes," Zix Von agreed, "and that is why we have reached our decision." For the next hour, the Council presented their ruling. Earth would be granted full membership in the Confederation, but with unprecedented conditions. Humans would be prohibited from engaging in offensive warfare. They could not serve as military advisors to other species. A buffer zone would be established around Earth's space. And most significantly, a new galactic law would be enacted. Due to their unique evolutionary history and demonstrated capabilities, humans shall not participate in armed conflicts except in immediate self-defense of their own territory. When the ruling was complete, the council chamber emptied slowly. Aliens looked at the humans with new eyes as they passed, not as primitives, but as something unpredictable, something to be careful around. In a private chamber afterward, High Counselor Zixvan met with Nancy. "You should understand," he said quietly, "this ruling is not a punishment. It is for the galaxy's protection." "Protection?" Nancy asked. "You fought the Krell to a standstill with mining equipment and improvised weapons," Zixvan said. "Imagine what humans might do with real warships, with Confederation technology." His four eyes blinked in sequence. "You are too good at war, Ambassador Wells. Too dangerous to fight." 3 months later, on the observation deck of Earth's new Confederation embassy, Admiral Martinez stood beside Ambassador Wells, watching as a Krell diplomatic vessel arrived to sign a permanent non-aggression pact. "Peace through strength," Olivia said. "The oldest human story." Nancy nodded. "Do you think they understand us yet?" "No," Olivia replied. "They think they've contained us with their laws and treaties. They don't realize that humans never needed advanced weapons or shields to be dangerous. We just needed our minds." Below them, Earth gleamed blue and peaceful. Around it, Confederation observation ships maintained their constant watch, not to protect Earth from threats, but to protect the galaxy from humans, the species too dangerous to fight.